How do I do it all? The Brezza gives me the power.
Monday night mayhem in Mumbai has set us off perfectly for another week in IPL 2025. Still recovering from what we witnessed at the Wankhede, but it's time to tuck in to a Tuesday twin treat. Later in the day, Chennai Super Kings will hope not to join Mumbai Indians on 4 defeats out of 5 when they take on Punjab Kings. But we start this afternoon with our eyes firmly trained at Eden Gardens, where Kolkata Knight Riders host Lucknow Supergiants. Build-up starts now. Welcome to Maruti Suzuki Arena presents ESPN Cricket for Timeout, where we've got on the couch Wasim, Jaffer, Piyush Chawla making a comeback, Matt Roller, steady as ever. Mr. Jaffer, so happy to see your former team that you played for on a roll, doing things teams almost never do.
Yeah, they're looking at a different unit. Everybody's chipping in. Everyone's looking in good form. It was a tough game last night where they had to defend. Looked like Hardik and Tilak were taking the game away. So it was a good win, which they have not won in the last 8 encounters in Mumbai. So good to see.
Yeah, and with PC, I'm wondering which of your former teams I talk about. One lost last night, one will play right now, 2 will play in the evening. Which one are you rooting for?
What you want to know, you tell me. So I'll pick up my team accordingly.
Which is the best of those 4 teams this season?
Well, if you're looking at the current situation, Punjab looks the best out of the lot. But KKR has also done some good things, and they're rising up in the point table. But if you talk about today's game, so the way KKR is playing and the way LSG is playing, although they won the last game, but KKR is a different beast at home.
And Matt Roller, having witnessed a thriller after a while, we had that one Delhi LSG at the start. We were waiting for one. Now KKR LSG, at least on the form guide, we can hope for one. Both teams have won 2, lost 2 so far.
Well, let's hope so. It was some blockbuster Monday night entertainment between 2 of the IPL's big 3 in terms of brand and profile and reputation. So yeah, a slightly different one today with the Tuesday afternoon game. It's an unusual time slot. We know this game's been rearranged from Sunday. Hopefully we get a decent crowd in, even still at Eden Gardens.
Yes, it was supposed to be, as Matt points out, the Sunday afternoon game, but it's taking place on Tuesday. Can confirm that KKR have won the toss. They will be bowling first against the Lucknow Supergiants. And this is almost an exact rematch of what happened last year. There were 2-day games that took place at Eden Gardens. The first of those was Lucknow against KKR. Lucknow batted first, struggled to 160. KKR chased it down. Wasim, what are you expecting this afternoon?
Well, now LSG is batting. Obviously, they're top order to fire. They are in good shape with Mitchell Marsh back, Aiden Markram looking good. A lot of it depends on Nicholas Pooran as well. He's their main guy. But they would want some runs from their captain, Rishabh Pant. They would want him to come into form very badly. And they'll be happy that they have defended the total in the last game. I thought that was their weaker side, the bowling, but they'll be happy with Avesh and Akashdeep back. But at first, I would think that they would want to post a big total.
Yeah, there are lots of facets to tuck into, but since Wasim has mentioned Rishabh Pant, the pressure will just keep increasing with every game?
Well, definitely, because you want to play for your name, for your reputation. And when after the auction, people were talking so highly about his captaincy, change of franchise. And when he came here, he didn't start off really well. And he must be hoping to get some runs under his belt. And that will be really important, not only from his point of view, even from a team's point of view, because you are heavily dependent on your top 3. And they won't fire every time. So somebody, experienced guy, has to come in the middle order and take that responsibility. David Miller is there, but whenever he comes, it's like not too many balls left. So Rishabh Pant, he chose to bat at number 4, so he has to take that responsibility. And the most important thing, he needs to take a bit of time. He's looking like he's in too much of rush, and that is normal to happen to any player when you're not going through a good phase. So I feel today is the day where things will be a little different for Rishabh.
That's what all of Lucknow are hoping for. And there are a lot more batting conversations to have, but since we've got PC returning to the couch after a while, we've been mapping some spin trends, and there is something that's popping out to us. 20 games into the season, if you take a look at the leading wicket takers among the spinners so far in IPL 2025, you've got Noor Ahmed, who's leading the charts overall. There's Sai Kishore, Krunal Pandya with his 4 probably with a lesson or 2 learned from Piyush Chawla and bowling those seam bouncers at the end. And there's Kuldeep Yadav and Vignesh Puthur. You see those 3 names highlighted, and there's a curious pattern emerging, Matt?
Yeah, I think across at least 3 and arguably 4 or 5 teams in the IPL this season, we've seen what you'd probably consider to be a more inexperienced spinner outperforming their senior counterpart. So Noor has outbowled Ashwin and Jadeja so far. Patur with Santner. You could say the same with Sai Kishore and Rashid Khan. And at LSG, Digvesh Ratty has outbowled Ravi Bishnoi as well, who, while still young, is very much more experienced in IPL terms. I'm interested to hear Piyush's thoughts on that and sort of whether that's something to do with the novelty factor of young spinners coming into the league who batters haven't faced before. Like when you were bowling to a batter who hadn't played IPL much before, or you were bowling to them for the first time, were you thinking, I'm on it here, they don't know what I've got in my armoury?
Well, that's true. That definitely plays a big role. But if you see Noor Ahmed, he's not a youngster anymore, to be honest, for me, because he plays all around the world. In fact, he plays more T20 cricket than Ashwin and Jadeja. So, and he's doing his job, what he is good at. And then you come to Vignesh Patur. Patur has done well in patches, but you're comparing it with Santner. And wrist spinner, when you're playing at 1K day, always has that advantage because there is hardly anything for the spinners in the wicket. And he's getting those wickets, but he's not bowling his full quota of bowler. That means captain is showing more confidence with the experienced guy. But Sai Kishore, bowling well, and Rashid Khan is not coming to the party, that's something really big. But I'll not say Sai Kishore is like inexperienced. He plays so much domestic cricket, and it's very important for any player, no matter you're a batter or a bowler. If you're playing domestic cricket, you're bowling those 25-30 overs in a day, it means you're getting that quantity in. I heard a lot about quantity, quality, like you must have heard a lot of coaches saying quality practice over quantity. But I'm still that old school, and maybe Wasim bhai will agree with me that quantity is very important, because the more you bowl, the more perfect you'll get, and that's what Sai Kishore does. He bowls a lot of overs. Even in the nets, he bowls for like good 2 hours, and we can see the results on the field.
What do you think for some of those more experienced guys who have struggled so far this season? You obviously had a long career in the IPL, 16, 17 seasons, I think. You must have reinvented yourself at various points. What's the challenge for those guys? How do they add things to their armoury and make sure that they're still performing at the top level, even towards when they're closer to the end of their career than the start in some cases?
Well, Matt, my thought process is very clear. If the things are not going your way, you have to go back to your basics, because that is something which you are doing right from the start, and you have become so strong in that particular thing unknowingly because you have done that so many times. So I feel when things are not going your way, go back to your basics. I understand the pitches has changed, batters are picking you from the hand, but if you go back to your basics, you have become so strong on that. So if you keep bowling those areas, a good ball is a good ball no matter which format you are playing, because you have to pick up wickets. Because if you think I'll just bowl few dot balls and squeeze in those good 4 over, it's not going to happen in today's cricket. You have to pick up wickets. So attack has to be in the bowler's mind all the time.
I think the segregation Piyush drew was also important. That while I think the trend broadly we're mapping is that it is maybe in some cases not an inexperienced spinner, but the spinner who you would have thought is the second or third spinner, a Noor behind Jadeja, Ashwin, a Sai Kishore behind Rashid. But the other two are a different case in point, with the likes of Digvesh Ratty, Vignesh Patur. How much does the novelty factor play into the kind of impact they have?
I think the challenge of being unknown, that plays a part, because obviously not many teams have got the data available and they haven't faced, which Matt has mentioned. So that definitely plays a part. Once the batters plays them more and more, they'll get used to it. We have seen that with Narayan, we've seen that with Rashid. They are the legends of the game. They've picked up thousands of wickets in this format, and the batters are slowly and steadily finding it out. How they bowl and what kind of grip they come to bowl with. And they're picking it from that. But Puntur is only played 3 games, Rathi 3 or 4 games. So they're still early days, there's very small sample size. But the more the batters play, I think they'll also find a way to score against them.
I could see you wanted to say something when I was teeing up that question to Wasim.
You were talking about the Noor, and you're saying he's the second. See, for me in T20 format, a bowler who can give you wickets, he's the main frontline bowler. And if you compare it with Jadeja and Ashwin, For me, Noor is the number one spinner in that squad because he's a wicket taker. That too a wrist spinner coming in those Chennai conditions where there's some help compared to other venues. So that's why I was raising my finger that Noor is the frontline spinner in that team for me.
All right. And when you consider the team we have in action right now in Lucknow Supergiants, how do you assess what Digvesh Rathi is doing and bringing to the table vis-a-vis Ravi Bishnoi and his struggles?
Well, as Wasim bhai mentioned just now, Digvesh, nobody has seen him. He just played DPL. He doesn't even play first-class cricket that much. So he's that unknown commodity. So he'll slowly, when people start picking him up, they know what he's going to do. And that's on the other side, if we talk about Ravi Bishnoi, he has become very predictable. With his action, he can't bowl leg spin. Even if he tries, it doesn't go the other, like normal stock ball. So his stock ball has become wrong one, and with the pace he bowls at, it becomes easier for the batters. And when you're not getting those wickets, you're going for runs. So as a bowler, you even start rushing in more. And with that, it becomes even more easier for the batters.
Yeah, completely agree.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, the pace with which Ravi Bishnoi bowls, it becomes, very difficult because once the batters line up, it becomes very easy to hit him, through cow corner to mid-wicket, and that's what the batters are doing. His leg spin doesn't spin away, and that adds to the problem.
Okay. Fascinating to talk spin anytime Piyush Chawla is on the couch. I'm sure there'll be more to this one, and let's see how or if the more seasoned and the veteran campaigners find their way back. Not everyone can do what Piyush Chawla did the last few IPL seasons. But let's turn our attention back to the game at hand. Lucknow Supergiants have been asked to bat by Kolkata Knight Riders. Let's see how LSG are lining up. It is unchanged from what I can see. You've got the full complement of the 4 overseas batters that they've been going with, Markram, Marsh, Pooran and Miller. And the bowling lineup stays the same. Bishnoi on the impact bench as he has been in the last few games.
Yeah, it looks like a pretty similar plan from LSG. I think probably the right call to stick to a winning combination after that performance against MI on Friday night. I think the interesting one for them as the season wears on is whether Mayank can come back. I think he's at the NCA and the reports are pretty good that he's sort of 90% there, but obviously they're going to want to ease him back in and make sure they don't, make sure he's not running before he can walk. But I think not a huge surprise from that point of view. Interested to see Shardul against his old team. I'm sure he's got a few points to prove across this IPL season and will be motivated to do well today.
Yeah. Pant at the toss says he's not very happy with the start to the season, but trying to take some positives. I think his batting position, it's been a subject of a lot of debate coming into the season in the first few games, but with Markram now getting the runs that he has in the last few outings, you feel like that's not going to change?
I think it will be unfair to change now because Markram has got runs. Mitchell Marsh is doing so well. They are so destructive. It should have been at the start of the tournament. Ideally, he should have been, 1 or 2. Being a captain, I think that's probably the right place, being a left-hander as well. But that didn't happen, so he'll have to stick to number 4. Yeah. He's got the most number of runs and probably the best average at number 4 in IPL. It does surprise us, but that's actually a fact. He just needs to spend, like Piyush has said, spend a bit more time, take a lesser high-risk option at the start and then, get into his innings and take it deep. He's got that ability to change momentum, but he just needs to spend a bit more time.
If he'd heard some of our early season predictions, he wouldn't have been saying he's not very happy. They've got 2 wins.
Well, I'm interested to see, actually, there's obviously a contrast today between 2 big money buys at the auction in Venki Iyer and Rishabh Pant. Venki had a slightly quiet start to the season, but played really well in KKR's convincing, I think, 80-run win against SRH. And similar to what Wasim was saying there, actually gave himself a chance and then really cashed in at the back end once he just faced a few balls and soaked it up a little bit. It'd be interesting to see what sort of template Pant goes for today, but obviously will be helped massively if the top 3 get off to a flyer.
Yeah, the Lucknow batting conversation is an important one, but before we tuck into that, let's show you how Kolkata Knight Riders are lining up. And there is one change for them. Spencer Johnson comes in for Moeen Ali. Moeen and Ramandeep Singh went through the last game without batting or bowling. Piyush, day game at Eden Gardens, would you have been tempted to have all the spin options?
Well, if you see the nature of Eden's wicket at the moment, it's not that earlier what we used to have like 5-6 years back, but still, I would say it's a good option to go with one extra pacer because you want that extra bit of pace there. If you see Harshit Rana is doing well, Vaibhav Arora has done well, but still they are inexperienced. They are quite new to this picture. So you need somebody who has played a bit of T20 cricket. So I think that's a right move.
Yeah, and Ankush Raghuvanshi is on the bench. You can imagine he would be the impact batter coming in when KKR get their chase underway. Wasim, any thoughts on how KKR have shaped? They have been willing to make changes. There was a forced hand early on when Moeen replaced Narayan. Now Moeen came in for a game, didn't do anything, out for Johnson.
Yeah, I mean, last game when Moeen played, I thought that's the route they're going to take because Andre Russell can chip in as a third seamer. So I thought they'll probably going that route and going spin heavy. But I'm surprised Spencer Johnson comes in and Moeen Ali, obviously, who bowled so well, didn't do much in the last game. But probably, the surface being a day game, I'm also a little surprised that they're bringing another seamer. Andre Russell could have bowled 2-3 overs. So a little surprise in that department.
Yeah,
it'll be interesting to see if the ball swings at all. I think Vaibhav is so much better when the ball's swinging, particularly away from the left-handers, which might have been a threat if they could take an early wicket and expose Puran and Pant to that. But yeah, they've got two bowlers there who I would consider to be swing bowlers first and foremost in Vaibhav and Spencer Johnson. Spencer can adapt, has some pace, can hit a hard length as well. But yeah, interesting formula for a day game because that's not what we would necessarily associate with it. You generally think Dryer could spin, but yeah, interesting choice, and we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, I can remind our viewers here that the last day game in the IPL that took place at the Eden Gardens saw left-arm seamer not have the best of outings. It was KKR versus RCB, the game where Karan Sharma almost took the game away, hitting Mitchell Stark for 3 sixes in the last over. KKR eventually won by 1 run. But let's focus on Lucknow's batting and what we would imagine is a key component of how this contest pans out. A lot of Lucknow batters, if you look through their numbers, have had their troubles against spin. And while we've talked up the younger spinners, the newer spinners, KKR have that golden duo, Narayan, Varun. You expect that to be a defining passage of this game?
100%, because there are most of the teams, if you see in the T20 format, I'm not just talking about the IPL overall, first 5 to 6 overs and last 5 to 6 overs, everyone plays the same. It's that middle period of 8 over where the game actually gets decided how you play that middle phase. And when you have two quality spinners like Varun Chakravarti and Sunil Narayan, and on the other side, when you have a batting lineup, there are 4 overseas batter who doesn't pick from the hand that easily, and Rishabh Pant who also is struggling against the spinners. So I feel it's going to be a tough battle for the Lucknow batters.
Yeah, 2 of those South African batters, Markram and Miller, were dismissed a fair amount of times by Varun in that bilateral series India played in South Africa late last year. Rishabh Pant himself is, I think, 30 balls, 31 runs for 3 dismissals. Those 4 overs of Varun and how Lucknow counter that?
I think it's going to be challenging for sure. Puran is the only guy, but he hasn't got the best numbers against Narayan as well.
Yeah.
So, how these guys bat against those 8 overs are going to be crucial. Puran again is the main threat, but barring that, Mitchell Marsh and Markram, if at all they throw any spin in the power play, that is also, will be interesting to see how they adapt to that.
I'm just going to come in the middle. I love how predictable I've become for Wasim because it's almost like he knows where I'm going to go next. My next question was Nicholas Puran, usually the spin enforcer, but the history of Narayan versus Puran starting all the way back with that super over, almost a maiden.
Yeah, well, it's been they've played a lot of cricket against each other over the years. They I think play for the same club even in Trinidad, Queen's Park CC, play at the Queen's Park Oval, the historic old ground there. They've played together for Trinidad in the CPL for a number of years. Played all around the world with and against each other. The head-to-head is, as you can see, pretty... I suppose there's an element of mutual respect there. I think neither of them really taking down the other. I think Puran, given how destructive he usually is against spin, that strike rate looks lower than usual against top-class spin. But I think it'll be an interesting battle for sure. I think he might look to target Varun more so than he does Sunil Narayan based on history.
What would you as the batting coach be telling this mix when there are so many batters who have their troubles against spin? You've got a Pant at 4 with all his troubles that we've already discussed. What sort of roles are you assigning to the players?
I think you need to give them freedom and let them decide how they want to play. They're all pretty damn good players, so you don't need to tight them down and restrict them because Mitchell Marsh, anything in his half, even though they are such a good bowlers, they are they will make mistakes. So you don't need to be in that defensive mindset. So I won't be telling anything. The guys who are in the middle, they need to decide for themselves and back themselves to the hilt, I would say.
When you see a batter who's well reputed in terms of taking down spin, and you all of a sudden see that maybe against me he doesn't like attacking me, what does that do for you as a spinner?
That gives me an upper hand straight away, because I know if I'm bowling in good areas, he's not going to take me down. So I have more option to attack, because I want him to take a chance against me, because he's not very comfortable. So that really plays a big role. So same here. When Puran is batting, Sunil comes into bowl, so it's going to be a upper hand for Sunil Narayan to start with, because the length which he bowls, that really makes a big difference. If you see over the years in IPL, I think he probably has not gone for 50 plus runs in his 4 overs, if I'm right. So that's a big number. And when you come, because the way he bowls his length, he's always just short of length, where you go on the back foot also, you can't really play that pull shot, you just have to nudge it around for 1 or 2s. That's why he becomes more special.
Do you foresee, having seen all of this, having gone through the numbers, it could be one of those working perfectly in tandem for Narayan and Varun? Narayan's choking the runs, good old style, and Varun ends up cashing in.
Yeah, definitely a possibility. I think, I suppose the flip side to it is obviously the predictability is not always there in T20. Sometimes we can go through all of these numbers and then something random will happen, like Puran will get run out by a direct hit from the cover boundary in the second over. But yeah, I think that will probably be the model for KKR. They might also look to bowl a bit of high pace through the middle. I think Andre Russell is back bowling fit. We saw him at the 1K day, I think just over a week ago, bowling with decent pace, and you quite often see that combination of the high pace enforcer through the middle overs combined with spin, which I think worked so well for KKR last year.
You're right. I think the trends of some of our discussions suggest that I guess the spinners are going wicketless today and fun smashing Varun for a lot of sixes. Let's see how that plays out. The Pacers are an important part of the conversation for Kolkata Knight Riders, and they will be in the focus right at the top. So let's tuck into our next segment. Maruti Suzuki Arena presents Power Play Conversations. Wasim, what do you make of the kind of start Vaibhav Arora and Harshit Rana made to the season? Vaibhav in particular was so impressive in that win over Sunrisers.
Well, he's a pretty good new ball bowler. He'll look to get some swing if it all is there. And somebody who can swing the ball back in always has a chance. And he's got the knack of straightening the ball as well. And he's not slow. He bowls 135. Harshit as well has done well. He's got that damn good slower ball. So they both are working in tandem. They are pretty decent. They've got experience. So they'll be, looking to make some inroads in the power play.
They're coming up against a batter who's been one of the best in the power play so far this season. Mitch Marsh has more runs than anyone, has been striking at almost 200. But it would be a huge amount of confidence that in their last game, they came up against a side who don't bat any other way in the power play, and they succeeded.
Well, see, Mitchell Marsh is somebody who's batting really well, and we all know what he's capable of. And it will be very interesting to see the afternoon game, how much the ball swings, because Vaibhav Arora is somebody who likes the ball to swing. And if it's not swinging that much, it's not going to be that easy for him. And on the other side, Harshit, he has done really well in last 6 odd months. So he'll be carrying that confidence in this game. And when he's bowling to Mitchell Marsh, and with his length, because Marsh is someone who doesn't put his front foot forward. And if you can try to make him play on the front foot and get him nicked to start with, that will be your chance as a bowler.
There's the other curious pattern with Vaibhav Arora, where I think he's been averaging sub 10 against left-handers, but almost 40 while conceding a lot to right-handers.
Yeah, so I think that probably plays into LSG's favour, the fact that they have that right-handed opening pair. It would be interesting to see if they do lose an early wicket, whether they then, therefore, whether KKR double down and really try and get Vaibhav's overs going and bowl him 3 in the power play, say, if they think he's a good option against Puran at number 3. But yeah, I think KKR's attack looks nice and balanced today, lots of options. I think Spencer Johnson will relish taking the new ball against his Australia teammate as well.
Play oracle for us. Do you see the KKR bowlers having a good time? on what can be tougher conditions in the afternoon?
Yeah, I mean, it depends what kind of surface it is. If it's, sticks in the pitch, then they'll enjoy it as well. Batting will be a little difficult, but being a day game, you don't know. But if it's a good pitch and, Mitchell Marsh in such a destructive form, it could go, pear-shaped pretty soon. So even Markram, looked pretty decent. Nicholas Puran, we've talked about. So, with these batters, the plan, you got to have a plan B, pretty much very soon.
All right. It's time for predictions. And I will start with you, Piyush, today. What do you expect the first innings total to be?
Well, it's very difficult to without looking at the wicket, but I'll say Eden Gardens somewhere around 190, 200.
190, 200, says Piyush. Wasim?
215.
215.
Oh, that's a big number.
Roller.
I think KKR will have a good day today. 170.
That's quite a range. Got a 170 and we've got a 215.
191 to 200, I said. So for you, it's 170 to 215.
Yeah, somewhere in the middle. Somewhere. One of you will be right. It will fall somewhere within that. The last outing, Lucknow Supergiants did score 161 in a day game at Eden Gardens, which KKR chased down quite comfortably. Phil Salt had played a brilliant innings that time. Let's see how it fares. Thank you so much, Matt, Piyush, Wasim, for starting this double-header Tuesday off for us. We'll be back at halftime. Be sure to join us then on Maruti Suzuki Arena presents ESPN Cricket Info Timeout.
How do I do it all? The Brezza gives me the power.